What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over the basics of what you need to know in Fortnite Chapter 7 Season 1. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, comment down below what you think of this season thus far, and if you guys would like to use my code in the shop when getting the Chapter 7 Season 1 Battle Pass or anything else, it is Evolve Jake, just like my channel name is, and it is underneath the webcam at all times. So this new chapter, as per usual in Fortnite, will bring in a new map, a new loot pool, and then several new mechanics as well. We're going to start off with the loot pool and the basics of the weapons and what I think is good. For ARs, we have the Deadeye AR and the Enforcer AR. I think the Deadeye AR is a lot better, especially for zero build, because it has that red dot sight. But the Enforcer AR has very little bloom, so you can actually just full spray it most of the time. And I feel like this will be one of the more underrated weapons this season. So I think both are good, but the Deadeye AR is going to be what most people prefer. For shotguns, we have the Iron Pump shotgun and the Twin Hammer shotguns. And I feel like this is something that I've seen a lot of people confused about. Like, there's no spammy shotgun this season, but the Twin Hammer shotguns is the spammy shotgun of this season. It has a very fast fire rate, and it's essentially full auto. Like, you could just hold down the shoot button and your character will shoot these shotguns at the optimal rate. And then the Hammer Pump shotgun seems to be a really solid pump, but thus far for zero build, I haven't really used the pump that much, because the Twin Hammer shotguns seem far and away to be the best shotgun for zero build this season. I don't know if there'll be balance updates or maybe people's opinion will change as time goes on, but so far I think the Twin Hammer shotguns are the best shotgun this season for zero build, at least. For mobility, we have the wingsuit, which you activate and then you can fly around, shockwave grenades, which we've had many times, and then the Forsaken blade that you can actually get from the yellow portals around the map. If you do your aim down sight button while in air, so for me it's L2, I jump and hit L2, and then you have like a mobility aspect with this blade. It's not quite identical to what the kinetic blade was, but if you use the kinetic blade, this is going to feel very similar to you. So we have 3 solid mobility items. I don't really like the wingsuit that much. It's more of like a traveling mobility item. I think both shockwave grenades and the Forsaken blade are much better mobility items for like in a fight. And it seems like the spawn rate of shockwaves is pretty high this season. I rarely last long in a match and like haven't seen shockwaves yet. So it seems like I have a good time getting them, or an easy time getting them. A lot of the players I encounter also get them. So it seems like the spawn rate of shockwaves is pretty high. For spray weapons, we have a new SMG called the Hollow Rush SMG, which has a fast fire rate and a holographic sight. Don't really use this too frequently because, as I said, I've just been using that hammer pump. And then the tac pistol is also back for a spray weapon. The arc lightning gun is like a minigun style weapon that can actually arc damage onto players nearby the enemy you're shooting with it. And this can also destroy bushes, which is something that it's going to be helpful in zero build. I don't know if I would quite want to carry this arc lightning just to destroy bushes, but it's definitely something that you should be aware of if you do want to use a bush and then somebody ends up using this. Or, you know, maybe there happens to be one on the ground and you could take advantage of it to destroy the bush. There's a new sniper rifle, but this one doesn't actually one hit to the head. Still seems pretty good, but it's probably not going to dominate in the way that we've seen with some past snipers. And then for heals, we just have the really basic options. We have bandages, medkits, minis, bigs, chug jug, floppers, and shieldfish, and then like the vegetables as well. So there's nothing too crazy there. There's a new type of frag grenade. It's all right. And then there's shield bubbles and porta bunker for like cover items. So far for zero build, I have liked using the Deadeye AR, the Twin Hammer shotguns, a cover item, preferably bunkers, and heals and shockwaves. As time goes on, I may use cover items less, but for how the game is currently playing, having bunkers is like really helpful in a zero build end game. Whenever there's a new season or a new chapter, the games are always a bit harder. People are playing more to win, to get that first umbrella and everything. And with how the games are playing now, not having bunkers is rough. So this is something that, as I said, it might change as time goes on and people kind of chill out a bit, but I'm not too sure if it will. There's a good amount of open space on this map, and there's not as many cars this season. Like, there is cars on the map, but they're definitely not as plentiful as they were on past islands. And one of the real huge benefits of cars in zero build is that you could drive it around, get from point A to point B faster, which kind of limits your exposure, but also you had mobile cover, which was really helpful. But not having as many cars on the map this season, I think is going to make those cover items kind of rise in priority. And one huge change that I did not know about for most of the time I was playing is going to be that you can actually aim down sights while in air now, even when shockwaving. So you can shockwave yourself and aim in with this red dot IR and shoot people. And you can do that. I'm pretty sure you can just aim in with every weapon while you're in air this season. So this is going to be something that definitely changes the game in zero build, mainly for those situations I was talking about, like shockwaving and chasing somebody. If you're shockwaving to chase somebody who's shockwaving away from you, your potential to get shots on them is much better now. I think the fact that you can actually aim in air, you can actually jump while aimed in too. So you can do like some pseudo bunny hops. I don't know if that's going to be as big of a deal, but aiming in while shockwaving, I definitely think is something that may end up changing the game a good amount. Another huge change that you're going to notice immediately to start the game is how you spawn into the match now. Instead of spawning in the battle bus, we spawn on a wave outside of the map, and then eventually you get forced into the air by the wave, and you get to glide to your landing spot. You don't really get to choose where you're going to land on the map because of this. You have 20 seconds to start the game where you can kind of move left to right to kind of switch up where you want to land. You don't just got to go straight forward from the time you start. So you have some wiggle room to maybe land at one POI rather than the other. But the region or the area of the map you're going to be playing on is somewhat predetermined by this wave landing. If you do want to get a further drop, one thing you can do is actually drive your surfboard up the wave, and if you're up on top of the wave when it forces you into the air, you will actually get higher this way, so you can glide a little bit further, but it's not going to be something where you just can choose to land anywhere on the map because of that. You get a little more room, but I think most people are just going to want to be as low as possible, that way they can hit the ground first. So this is something that is a temporary change to this season. The battle bus will be coming back, and we will go back to more like traditional landing. I think this is just something they wanted to do to change it up. It definitely affects the pacing of the game. I feel like off spawn, there's typically a lot of players landing with you now, no matter where the game decides to put you out, because it put other people there as well. You have like somewhat scripted early game in that regard, but also this makes the middle of the map area a bit less looted when you get there. Like I feel like everybody kind of lands on the edge now and then loots in towards the middle of the map. So oftentimes those middle POIs may not be looted by the time you get there, which helps you refresh your loot, which is something that I think is pretty good. But as I said, this will be going away in the future. Bosses have been changed a bit this season. They will be marked on the map when you get close enough to them, and it does seem like they kind of change up where they spawn. It's not like they just spawn in the same POI every single game. If you eliminate the boss, you will get their mythic weapon and their medallion, but medallions are actually a lot different this season. It takes an inventory slot, which is a huge change, and you actually can't drop it once you become the boss, which is another huge change. Like medallions, having this reveals your location, but it's much more precise than how medallions were. You just see the exact indicator on the map. It's not a circle, so you know right where somebody is. And you can actually see the boss's health bar if you're like decently close to them and shooting at them. So you have an information advantage on the boss, significantly more so than like how medallions were in the past. And these bosses have an activated ability now. So like Brutus gives you extra health and extra shield, an extra overshield. It makes you very tanky. I haven't gotten to use many of these bosses yet. And when I did get to use Brutus, it actually bugged out once I activated it and I just couldn't move anymore, which was incredibly unfortunate. Another just flat benefit to the bosses is that you have more health and shield. So you have 125 shield and 125 health if you pick up one of these bosses. As time goes on, I think it will become more aware of whether or not it's worth taking these bosses or not. But every single game I've won, it wasn't like I had a boss, and it wasn't like there was bosses in the end game. I think the information advantage you give other players by taking these bosses is something that will kind of cost you throughout the course of the game. But as I said, maybe time will go on and we'll feel differently about that. But for now, if you just want to win, it might be best to just avoid taking the medallion. It's also something you can't drop. I don't know if I said that. But the mythic weapons themselves are obviously good. That doesn't reveal your location. It's just a medallion. Gold has also been changed this season. So typically you had 5,000 limit of gold, and gold carried over from game to game. Now everyone starts every match with 0 gold, but the spawn rate of gold is a lot more plentiful. And this is actually a very big deal. The vending machines are really good this season. I don't know if it's just my experience playing the game or what, but it feels a lot harder to get shield this season, and like clear your POI and come away with full shield. So visiting the vending machines around the map that will be marked to you, and being able to top off on big pots that way is something that I've been taking advantage of a lot. And then also you can buy upgraded weapons here as well. And the fact that it's like a resource that resets every game, you might as well spend it. It's not like you need to worry about saving it for later. And so I found myself buying like high rarity weapons and getting shield a lot more frequently than I would before. And as I said, if you are struggling to get shield, you're definitely going to want to take advantage of these vending machines, and they are marked on the map, especially when you get closer to them. I think this is a good change. Another interesting change is going to be that self-revive was added, and there's also drivable reboot vans, and the way you can move now is different. So if you're a knocked character, you can actually roll around and try to dodge shots and like navigate a bit differently. But there's also a self-revive item that you can find, and this is something that takes an inventory slot. But if you have it in your inventory, you have the ability to knock yourself, or you have the ability to revive yourself when knocked. And if you're playing solos and you get this, you will go into a down but not out state, whereas like typically in solos, you just, are immediately dead. So far, I've mostly played solos. I've played a few duos matches, and this isn't something that I thought was like a super big deal in solos, but in team game modes, I think it has more potential to shine just because of like the chaos of fights. And in solos, if you knock someone, they 100% have self-revive, and then you're going to close that kill and try to get it, right? But in team modes, like, you knock everybody regardless of whether or not they have self-revive, so it's a bit less ambiguous. Really what this just comes down to is you're probably just going to want to thirst your knocks if you have the opportunity to. If I knock a guy and their teammate is actively shooting at me, I'm probably just going to focus on the one that's actively shooting at me. But if I'm not actively getting shot and I can see that knocked body, I'm probably just going to thirst it and get out of the game just for the potential that they do have self-revive. And then the drivable reboot van is as it sounds. It's a reboot van that you can drive around the map, and this is nice to have because you can reboot your teammates whenever you need to. It's also nice if you are going to this and it's in storm, you can kind of drive the reboot van into the safe area and then reboot on the edge rather than having to reboot in the storm. And you can actually throw knocked bodies into this to revive them. And you can throw your teammates into cars anyways now, and they'll just get put in the car, so you could throw somebody into the car and drive away. But with the drivable reboot van, if you throw them inside, the car will actually revive them. And this is something that is going to save you a lot of time in team game modes if you have the opportunity to. So I think the drivable reboot van is definitely going to be a high value item to have in those team game modes. And one final thing I want to talk about is going to be rift anomalies. These are just random events that can happen on the map. I'm currently not aware of like every single one that exists, but the one that I saw dropped in a special supply drop, and then it gave me a high rarity item. So over time, there will probably be more rift anomalies added. Oh, another final change I want to talk about is that supply drops themselves seem to just give gold this season. And that might seem disappointing because like maybe you wanted shield or maybe you wanted a high rarity weapon, but you get the gold from the supply drop and then you can go buy whatever you want from the vending machine. So it works out. You have a little bit more choice, but there is extra steps involved. But that is going to be it for this video. As always, if you guys did find this to be helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, comment down below what you think of the season thus far. If you guys would like to use my code in the shop, it's VoltJake. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.